no one at the hon. Said I will see who knows.
Said you miss who Ghana no. Me who differently.
I think that who differently require similarities in there quite obvious, you know. we can dwell on that. Now, yeah, make a conclusion. I think so far so good. Hope return back to homes and in the lives of a lot of Ghanaians. Was a change by a real dividend now Kasanian drama for per se. Sometimes no, my culture say in governance, politics, leadership, no. Idea who here pa I say with me still hope for the people not to know who say if for the next winner than a no and that's all meeting a baby something good will happen. We a state now we lose that particular thing that country is done. And then at the time be a chairman uncertainty hover around, you know, some of us says and no or mine to anywhere ma future. So a lot of people plan obi ha na ma otimi se omo no do mo to come because mine no wom no on future because the people plan for days ahead.
That's right.
It's only the unwitty and our dream and then they just live for the moment, but we will be out in the question that you always look at the long term prospect of a minor womb, no. And I think that science now, I shall say, especially on the economic front, no, some has been very positive, especially it's junk status. Now when you fetch, or upgrade you, when you other rating agencies or more upgrade you, I know the day, no, am I credit worthy among community of nations are the saying international space, or carbon since or investors say about economy no assume a certain pace be there is hope say me banner me investment our mine no more many me return so monies are coming people are investing as for I think these are positive signs there be my culture say the year go through no a honeymoon yes that we need structural reforms to sustain the gains. Just a dollar now man for a celebrity is stable. No, trust me, the dollar is a running currency. If we don't do things to sustain it, even if artificially we will resort to artificial manipulation for how long?
That's right.
So there must be a substantial backing, policy wise, you know, something definitive. As I bet me a sustain the dollar. No, you bet me a predict in the next 5 years, you know, about business environment, and it will be clear. Obia. You can obey me say now I plan for the next 5 years, the next 2 years.
That's right.
A business plan and as a phone. But if those uncertainty hover, I know that you can't make any projections, especially even government budget. Sometimes your budget we are after 2 months. Now exchange rate now to baby.
That's right.
I render the whole budget in the
useless.
You understand? So I think that these are some of the things that as a year just to bring back hope and confidence once again. Ghana for who say or mine ye baby.
Say, Ivan Kyei innocent and I will attend in Canada 0541 82 5106. Na afe bibianso aye kama edi amount. Ya share in discussion na se tell. Na fear ba na yedi NPP presidential race for 2028 and its related issues. And na yada sorry ya NPP minority MPs by 60. Out of 88, I could declare them Dr. Bawumia. Former MMDCs, one over 200, and so I could declare Edema Kennedy. I couldn't pray Japan. Ebi 200 over 60. Na 200 over 60. Na just say suru no suse Asiedu no. MPP suse omu furu dia omu ba furu fisuru abafem with the current way of the. Ivan Mamimfa won share.
Alaska, I think MPP a political party or go into elections in the recent 1 year the track record and the trajectory and a party in so leading up to the 2024 election was quite obvious. You could see this was a party and a broken idea of any leadership including the government itself nankasa. So I know that they got to a point that the party became fragmented. They be shredded into pieces, but only Sana government was in power and not guide everybody along, and very often that has been the signature in a political space. Whenever a political party when a power, you see a party now fragmented, party structure no, a new hobby in government don't run machinery of government. So I know that they will do elections, you know. Na party na a vehicle and a power and na a junkolize we are agu. And sadly way NDC are suffer be, MPP are suffer be, and I wonder why still people are not learning, because nekura yet means I hear the difference between the NDC government and the party. Clearly you could see say the party has started a fracture.
That's right.
It's quite obvious because Obia person move to government for something. I don't know you leave the power party na a vehicle for power no. Whenever I was in a bubu. So by the time election bedroom no there is no party I would compare power. Because Papa Sana base no more grand Obia bufu are folding his arms to the baby. So that was the idea about when they're dead within the MPP. And idea be a minimum says who go into election as a lose Alaska, you claw back. Now what can I say? You review to see near my go wrong, they go right. And now quite fast over projectile hono, and quite fast over your name no. People must see some difference. Be a man for say party your contain almost your baby. Can't just say we lose power, you don't just lose power, you lose goodwill.
That's right.
The relationship between you and the people, no, get it distorted. And you know, as part of your friends are all coming back, and you need to amend. Sabaya that bridge now, a break, you know, wait me amend. Sabaya, the people can easily count on you. But the MPP in opposition, I'm not sure that is what we see, because high hustle so na who said I'm man for so.
I'm that's what it is.
Yeah, Ponkwa kesi no motete so mu so very special people no. Kasafina no amanfo guso no mo kawa ban mu no. Sa men intransigent and belligerent behavior na wu no. That is the same thing that is playing out. So you don't see any change in the MPP that was in power and then the MPP that is in opposition. And very often, some of the ensembler more far, what national argument, what teams, Yansam Nim, now because I'm party, our co-opposition, we expect to say, on by things differently. Now you see be from the structure party, no party, and look attractive, you know. That is not, but rather no, a individual and your friends are man for interest, and a more pursue. And clearly, now no matter say, yes, issue date about one thing.
That's right.
Per the constitution of the party, I think say 2 years before your first main election, and also will you flag bearer. Fine, political parties and institutions, you can amend the constitutional provisions. All free and they have every right to do that. But you see, to propose a definitive date, say this is the day yeah kotuaba. Abra, you know, say winyanko Congress, ama date no kranenya improve means say. Yes, or the friend is over to Wabo and nice idea. So it means the very people who go there to approve no have already given the events a red line. That is why you will set a date. Very often, Ubetimiaka say, Nameya Drumnasa Congress to Jetuma somewhere January. And February, you give a tentative period, but to be very specific and fix the date, you know, on 31st. Pending approval and so you know said the approval process, you know, is just a rubber stamp. We are then ubenya. And for me, an American say party ban China, ubetimia for kwan so now one maneuver how betimia restrict actions. But near ma MPP for shas your more no a communicate 110. Just to sabotage every single flag bearer or be away interest in this thing and make sure say they once again impose Baumia on the party's ticket.
Oh really?
Oh, that is exactly what is going to happen. Alaska, you see, you've been around for quite a long time. Politics, yeah. I'm not sure say 2015 now or China now Okruma say you follow the MPP internal politics. How the structure of the party, the core party structure now Kasano was maneuvered in favor of a particular candidate.
Very well.
It got to a time all the regional executive across the country, all constituency, district, wherever, they were all whipping in line to support Dr. Baumia.
Very well.
And Baumia became the incumbent candidate. They were doing everything. It got to a point that either you stay in line or you get out.
That's right.
Some people who quite fast because of Baumia, relevant people within the party like Alan, like Boachie Jaku and Co Krano, the party didn't realize and some of they trashed all of them because they didn't like what was going on. You understand? I can't just say any serious political strategist Biano, so we'll structure party and now we'll go into such a major election. Now a big wing like Boachie Jaku Alan, no more catches on through party man. Yes, I will be to bring them back. But because of broken leadership, arrogance, filthy, that kind of inflated self-relevance, at the time, these people thought, oh, your power and you will be. I know that they allow these people to go, all in a bit to ensure, say, the candidate for the incumbent, will be imposed.
The establishment
candidate. So Alaska. Election very often the template has always been elections, you know, you ever started from the constituency level. You new executive because we are ushering into a new realm. You cannot allow a group of people to go and leave to choose a leader when they themselves are not going to serve in any capacity.
That's right.
So who and who are going to work with the person? You know, that is very, very important. So in the wisdom of the various political way, what you do is you build from the base bottom up.
That's
you
right.
set up the leadership. As our leadership, you choose or more flag bearer. Then there will be commitment on their part to ensure that they work towards the realization of the larger party vision. But in this particular way, there has been a certain attempt to say, okay, this time round, you know, ye can't to flag bearer elections and answer. Me say, MPP as an institution, they have every right. I'm not saying so.
That's right.
Constitution can be amended. Now let's get the wisdom behind this thing. They say, Omo who say, from head to toe, from regional, district, whatever, executive no more holding are the same people who campaigned and led Bawumia's campaign.
Okay.
So not changing them means that these structures at the ground are going to work towards Bawumia's agenda.
2.3.
And I wonder why your friends say I seen Elon Musk I
seen Elon Musk.
I seen for Elon Musk other people no will keep quiet.
I don't know why I seen for Elon Musk.
Oh, we name Nabisa. I'm from Bachelor. Alaska. I wonder why they are all quiet because this is a complete sabotage. Just to ensure say they impose Bawumia on the people, on the party. On the year, your friend said the establishment candidate. I have listened to a lot of justification or more major spin doctor within the media space. Trying to weave some
as a spin doctor.
Yeah, some nasty justification as to why, according to him, no, very important. Say that started from the ground up. It doesn't make sense, Alaska, because say flag bearer, in about a year, all of them their mandate will expire. So another day, the very people whose mandate expire are the very people who are going to elect a new leader. New leader, a new crop of people will be appointed. So by the time I'm about now flag bearer, somebody may argue, sir, it is in the same party. But I'm telling you, sir, the agenda behind this thing is to get Bawumia elected at all costs. Because they know, sir, as it stands now, the party structure at the base from top to down are all in favor of Bawumia.
That's right.
Because prior to the elections, how some of them declare. Are you going to tell me, so be like who to me? Regional chairman. I don't know leading the campaign for Bawumia, and then he's going to change his mind. No. Maybe I got two abana nipa for bar. That person may appear a bit neutral, a bit new. We don't know what that particular person is coming from. So they change. That is expected to happen in their party. Sabaya Betimia rebranded the MPP as a vibrant political institution. A Betimia offer serious opposition to the NDC being in government. We are not seeing those things. It seems that even in opposition, the party appear a bit more fragmented. And if you look at the media space, you see a man for a motto in some and party lack leadership even at this time. And according to them, it's one of the reasons why I'm not trying to elect. I said, Bawumia still known as what they are around, but still people are defying party. Your friend is saying directive. You know, as a form. My catcher said general secretary. Obi on take us also your general secretary. Party we are serious now, Papa. Obi on take us also on your general secretary. I'm party chairman. Me to say so. Why I'm not sure no mungu.
I'm so high there.
Oh, we know who let you be.
And Nabusian force more.
Yes, Nabusian force say. MPP party chairman ayera omo hwehwe no nti wa be hunu bia no bomon kra na omo nkofo omo chairman. So this is a party there are serious internal challenges. I say they need to sit down and address these challenges. How to bring even those who left back. They are not even thinking about that. They think it's just electing a flag bearer alone no is enough for them to win elections. But you see Bawumia na amanfo ania bro modene ba no. This is a guy who touted himself as an economist. Holding lecture upon lecture upon lecture. For 8 good years, the guy could not implement a single economic policy that brought positive transformation at the economic front of this country. The Mahama ne deputy, you have heard saying, on the deputy president. None of them economists in that hole.
Right.
But look at the transformation that is going on. So our man for at this point the crown questioning. But who Abraham say yourself a boa propose a wine. Also, anyone say within a short period the NDC has been able to. But these are according to them, Moses Mahama is a communicator and Nana is an English lecturer.
That's right.
So if a communicator and English lecturer
could do this
within 6 months. Now said the whole so-called certified economist. Yes, in Yansan, you know, I want a team.
I almost saw you Obi JK
for 8 good years. For 8 good years, dollar no, I didn't say them and or lock no. He could not even breathe. It got to a time and the guy transformed himself into a low budget IT. Your friend say
low budget.
Na ba mi ana IT papa mu no way. Or transforming who into a low budget IT consultant. And on your friend is saying various space, talking IT, talking internet, talking about digital e-gate and I told you said that guy is a joker. Because Alaska even to for such a digital takeoff, you know, the most important thing. The digital infrastructure
that's right. That platform.
Digital infrastructure be about Baumia, a committee ya oputu sika in a build this infrastructure. So first now we political analysis in the debate very often you hear say this is MPP back just say all the your friends say free social welfare program social intervention and this form for be mine. Let say these are ignorant people, they don't even know what you're talking about. Social intervention, you need a social infrastructure for a social intervention to take off. But let me give a typical example. May I buy my bam me provide a free hospital for Emma. So that is a social intervention.
That's right.
Now Alaska free care and yakono umurema yakono biaso.
Yakono hospital.
So you the social infrastructure for this it's hospital.
Hospital.
So if you don't build the hospital, so why would somebody go on radio and be telling journalists, hey, you're the free, you're the social intervention, but you're the way by. But nobody is asking them the social infrastructure.
And the journalists no crowd so for us.
Now I said they don't know. Some don't even know that there is something called social infrastructure.
That's right.
But for a social intervention to take off,
you must need
a social infrastructure.
Exactly.
The same thing has to do with digital. Digital take off, you need a digital infrastructure. Ask him, infrastructure better put in place. You understand? And these are some of the comedy these people use here to jump over the political narrative. Very often they were seen relevant. But the real Baumia and the MPP for are trying heaven or hell to impose on him. Maybe they know second Japan you be I'm betting me alive now with the party and because second Japan by MPP candidate or China and as the chair, the party is done. No, the tape for man for how do go on. And now the kids and now he's playing gentle. I said, why don't a gentleman? Right. You can't fool anybody.
That's right.
I catch us like Canada, Japan is not a material. Any reasonable person should be thinking, should ever think is that guy should lead this country. Now that we see about them. Alaska, let's get serious. Let us get serious. You see, Alaska, and I'm scared for the next Ghana. To be very honest with you, I'm very scared. In as much as I think that things are because very often what you now see a man for everyone away person you know just say it's so scary. Alaska it's so scary. So intellectualism leads key core leadership values now here to see in a person, you know. Those the people being banded around, you know. None of them. And I know Hong Kong, the other side is in some of the names coming up. You understand? So I think that Ghana, we need to make conscious effort to produce leaders. And yes, I maybe do know some of these toys and I'll be who on the stage.
Toys.
Oh, Alaska. Nanya politics in leadership na abam fanka some of the names obete. Alaska. This is Kwame Nkrumah Ghana.
Na do the standard number firm.
This is Kwame Nkrumah Ghana. Me hu bra champa wa video we so kan Ghana or kan ewe na me hu be ma nim na awurade nyame. This is a guy ya or army amanfo to Ayawa so West Wagon.
That's right.
Am ko bro amanfo tuo. Sa issue no kwa investigative be say.
Na say kwa no obeto yes.
Was he not the same person that was threatening people say omo we ni aba no mo mfa mo bia na.
That's right.
And I'm saying it's so funny the rate at which our politics are degenerating into the gutters or leadership is degenerating into the gutters. You know? You are not careful. Now you bring some reformation be into a political setup now. Emre bi bedru, no I have told you say. Emre bi bedru, beko Jubilee House na monkey to. Na can't you open.
Obeko na monkey to.
Oh, I've told you before.
That's also your vice president.
I'm telling you, your president. And that day is fast approaching because we see some of the names among for to gumna. And now we don't feel very soon that ugly way na makano will become a reality unless reasonable men of convention rise to the occasion and save the day. Alaska, we have a long way to go. So for me, I think it's sad. Said the MPP is not learning. They are not seeing the larger picture. And they are still living in the past. You see, Ghana is going. The new narrative, a bit is transforming politics. Ghana, for Mranti and Mario Moody politics, they are even transforming. People have seen a certain new dawn, the next level of politics, and they are all adjusting and tuning their mind to that politics. It is about why na bear the right thing, why na onye the right thing. Power na medema no. Are you using it to further my interest or not? These are questions that young people are asking. It is not about hana me free. And I remember me nuaba ni, and I may akaini, and I may ni, and those nasty things now over the years now dominating. I give a lot of people relevance in our politics. And Alaska, those things don't fly anymore. You understand? So I think that we need to readjust. And the MPP, my message to them, they say, you see, they should wake up from the past and run to the present here. And so with me jumping from the past and running into the present, they will know say the political institution called the MPP, is in a serious problem, including internal leadership, and that there are a lot that they need to do to make sure say they restructure the party. Say once again, ever attractive to the people of this country. Goodwill ever return it to them. I know actually answer no ba kan asema Ghana near for more serious. And yes, sir, anything you say, people brandish you and say that we are serious. Now, no, me former information minister because NDC for Mra no munchiromo.
That's right.
Say NDC for Mra no munchiromo good governance. Now see, look at this. Well, you had power 8 good years. You messed and toyed with this country for 8 good years. After Ghana for a humiliating word up at what about your quatranchino. One hour bet you will have to govern. You understand? And so a time will come up. They might be sitting on the sidelines saying things that are very sensible. But because goodwill, those kind of things, we don't try it into. You cannot. It's NDC by your Mahama by 1, 2, 3 things be I go wrong.
That's right.
But first now, energy amount for the Becano, you don't see why, because goodwill is still on the side of the government.
Good.
What I say? Yantiana buyer be a fake doctor, command appointment on the good day. This particular thing is supposed to be a big issue.
Sure.
But how many people even made it a central issue? Because of our they be very goodwill on your part. Because they think that the government is doing bigger, larger things, far outweigh some of these things. If you don't study some of these dynamics and understand and see how, as a political party, we position on structure Alaska, you will still be in opposition though, but instead of being a friend to the people and not a friend of the people, they will continue to regard you as an enemy. And whenever they see you, Nema wire in the past, they will quickly spring to mind, and they will see you for who you are. And for me, the MPP as a political, they are mature minds in the party. They don't even take them serious. Issue ya okay, met somewhere Boche Jako Kasa is absolute nonsense.
Nonsense, that's right.
And it's indeed nonsense. Because clearly you could see the agenda now more try to impose by Omiano. And no, the most important thing this leadership you more way. So I'm me impose by Omeri no more cocra among family because when you say new leadership bar, the thing may go either ways. And they don't want that. The reality is that people think that Baumia is not somebody with winning elections.
That's right.
And there are that side also thinks that Canada Japan is not a credible person. Or me did not top part in the take it down. And yes, I Ghana form serious.
That's right.
So and other people now do him. I do him. Well, who can first born a bet? No, boy born in chamber to say. I never minimum America crowd cut tonight. Minimum America crowd cut tonight. America no minimum be not. Yeah, last guy was a more. Tell me ever when the bet born in chamber. Hey, I say more.
I say my could be a squawk as I can see me, sir.
Of a president, daddy. Hey, Kwame Nkrumah Ghana.
I'm a answer. I'm 11 already outside.
Yeah, Alaska.
Ivan.
I think that there has been a number of issues at Abasinko, and over the week, Bakwana dominating related to this aura, matters involving Kenoforiata, the health issues.
That's right.
The family, and then the wife, and the back and front, Nema Econo. For an average person, people have always been questioning the commitment on the part of government. Say you be go ruthlessly after individuals. Yenina ya boy team pose the 2 million amount. Ko nafa wonim de ko she 2 million ni sika eye omane de achi. Na for bo nipa ho bra. Na make sure say human being at the end of the day will become the ultimate beneficiary of whatever decision, intention, whatever that we make as a country. Very often, a man get it to that particular way now. They suddenly know, I drain a menkwana minim nyansa from Mikrum, menkwana minim nyansa from this.
That's right.
I'm special. So that kind of inflated self-relevance, it takes center stage. Very often, people, instead of looking at the greater good, they become very arrogant, very disrespectful, and they think say power na manya me I can't say we nyansanina we to me the first thing as a uhuni say expiry date at that 2 minutes.
That's right.
So when I want nam na soja for salute to the koba a time is coming up. Sa microphone na be bo minimum e de wako. Na second for that okọ parliament who soldier for na se for no modina. And the same soldiers na e pen ache no. What I say, that is how complex and how unpredictable this political space in city. And there be a me to among for say unya appointment unya to me. Don't look down people, don't think say you are sitting on the moon now so special there. A time will come, the tide will test against you, and that any against you, and I will say, how you be a Namuma Quenya been a winner. Abraham no for a opportunity to be Ghana's finance minister, Alaska. And Nema Brantia would did to me, Kroma. Later, we came to find out, say, Onua the most powerful person within the Akufo-Addo cabinet. Because don't forget, on Akufo-Addo our family relations. Aside that, there were other staff on NOE. So his position became so secure to the extent. I think that he's one of the longest serving finance ministers in the history of this country. He served for almost 7 to 8 good years. 18 when Chabat Kakrabi. A child the long we all enjoy, despite resistance, opposition, the reckless incompetence, and then Nema or Danedy, the fact said the economy tumbled under him. Decisions in Nema not all taking in a name more minor. Economic locally, Alaska Jiguye. For the first time, Nipo Mudo Musika Boa buying Bosnia, they lost their money. And some had to take a haircut. We had to go and beg international lenders, creditors, and fire Alaska, a whole lot of nasty stuff happened with Kruma to a pointer. Yeah, economic ratings sink to junk status to the stance that among community of nation, now you're credible, you're worthy to get out there to say, Charlie, Ghana, you're seeing a way, because Wabon Kwasiabosiama Oka Ameno. That is the name I can for that. And aside all these decisions not making, there were other criminal related engagements here. Or don't know who shame at the end of the day, I'm war man, corrupt deals be a course be the guy was at the center of them.
That's right.
For instance, now the amode buy a sa corruption we ya. Nkrofo kofa mo SML he was at the center of it. Nkrofedias on Betty Jessica, he was at the center of it. Just all the criminal dealings be a course be can for a person of interest at this. And then the man coming here to answer questions and I very critical. And trust me, we can do a survey out there. There are a lot of Ghanaians that they want Kendo Forata to come and answer for the things that he's done. But the point is, the gentleman has gotten to the realization that Neymana, as finance minister, were so criminal to the extent that Obakrum ha, there is no way but me,
That's right.
Now let's this a finance minister Onua Nkasa, his own party people were chasing him out. How much more the opposition Ghanaians at large? Onua Nkasa and the party for were chasing him out because of reckless incompetence. Historical, ye nema oye ukroma say. And he has come to the realization that he stands no chance of getting out of the messy situation or the Ghana Kotum. So the only way out is to be playing this kind of games with that. In the first place, I sympathize with Obi Oyare. And as a Ghanaian and as somebody, as a health personnel, and I've seen it, the troubles, the ordeals that people go through. So I'll be the last person to, and I've told you in the past, the last thing I'll do is to sit on radio and use somebody's health.
That's right.
Those
That's right.
Do back here. Abraka for that finance minister, but now radio so catch us. Akwana Yare.
Oh, Yare. Also,
because he look puffy. Puffy, which is like water leak into the cells, so that the skin, no, what I say, and the underlying this thing could be a lot. You understand? Now you could see clearly that the gentleman was not well, and you know at the time, no, some of us were advocating say, "Won't who here trying being a finance minister? So why don't you quit and go and take care of yourself?" But he didn't care because at the time, no, more. And then now you kwada sorry ya mo se nkrophobia kenoforata family omo de letter
awabusia
memi hu ya na me free so obi na social media na akotro nkwase asem bi na sabi oto atwenem now knowing that something was really coming from a family. Let me say really we've gotten to a point society na yewom no that sense of shame no ni hobiem because Alaska in some American ya bra na brand ne ya anti family member bi obeka gina ya say onko he no ho yare no yare 92.3 when was gentleman was collapsing banks, taking Ghanaian businesses, borrowing foolishly out there. Out there, Kenke party, or the Nema signing contract. Sabi, Onua Nkasa and Nkro for our former as advisors. They were getting paid over some of these things. You know, we never heard of any family speaking. Say, oh, Nema said they see because and I said a Ghana of Wesi Kasai can the buyer tone it down. Papa Kwasin dominating the business. He took it off the map. And now Shana Wuno. A month for na papa we have 4 more year or they all lost. Contractors are music and answer for them. Nina Kocaine. So these are the criminal things that a course under Kendo for Riata Ghana for want answers. And in the course of this period, no, we never had any family member be or baby or commenting. And now these jokers are bold enough to write a statement there. Bragana for say, and a special prosecutor say, only need free. Your friend is saying, Interpol red alert. So now, good family, they are jokers, bunch of jokers. Alaska, because if there is any sense of decency, that will be the last thing that they will do to get involved in this particular matter. Because you see, Kendo Forata is not as if say special prosecutor any man space. Or man time upon time. It got to a time you need to Interpol red way so through communication and as for I say you free so I know the day no time no soon yes you never came. And let me also say and now yet hey can no foretta fugitive status no has been affirmed by a court. That's because right. Onua Nkasa they call human rights court to say special prosecutor any need free Interpol red alert no so now for yamba special prosecutor and as any document we need was so ya trust or ya fugitive bia no ye need free so court abon sem na.
That's right. So for now so, no court
yes see am not here Kenoforata is legally a fugitive. Hu ni ba bia na say bag yo say dey otimi tam na shame de na ba Ghana or Ghana for hwehwe no. Oh yes, he's a fugitive. Which means and some na original so na okekana sa back and forth ni nyina so be anim. Alaska, I have worked at the hospital before and I know how the protocols work. Say obi yare a na say ye ka say even me fan say wo adwuma hoto wo na wo host program we.
Okay.
Na wakọ clinic bi wo ha say ni aka cho say wo yare. Alaska anya wo yire na be fra hoto fo aka cho mo say me kunu yare ntontimi ma adwuma. And now one kasa wa we yare no your friend say professionally no you cannot pick a phone and call and say oh ebia me yare nti that one you can do it for a day or two but for 1 week we nyama adwuma it is not wo and officially we back catch adwuma for say me yare and 1 week mean to be ma adwuma. You rather tell the doctor now or share no because on your professional award that accreditation with me to issue a certified medical way.
Yes, with the letterhead.
Alaska yare and because of this you know you say to me a keep for that matter or here rest and then as for own to me majuma that thing is legally binding because oko adwuma bia mu asa anema no ho and there is no court obe defy that medical report na ka say o yare chinchinchi ayemfa omra. In the case of Kenoforata, we have not seen a single letter coming from any doctor. Namum on na fa pen ni paper na wa chro sami wo Mayo Clinic say na tienti no me ko we ade achi no the documents aba Onua o say I'm undergoing surgery. Now na yekoda sori say na yire de krata wa say ni kunu under akọ surgery na wie na obeda fie 3 months.
3 months answer na we 20.
Na me say surgery no mo ye na yire na oye scrub nurse ana ona no oye anesthesis ana o wone ye fe ne say o man anesthesia. She knows. You see, these are things that
they are also not smart.
They were unintelligent criminals. Now look at the way they looted this country in a very foolish fashion. What do you expect from them? These are people who are naturally not intelligent. So in the because you can get a doctor. So what you are and now we're in the troll letter. The special prosecutor said, say, go for a certified medical report. I will send him and let the hospital and I say who couldn't send it to the special prosecutor. Say, my husband has undergone surgery and because of possible post-surgical complications, I anticipating Ebia he will need 3 months to rest.
That's right, but
and there is no doctor that will give you that 3 months.
Exactly.
Now Alaska, okoye weight transplant you have say you have that particular 3 months.
Kidney transplant.
Alaska, because you know you can anticipate a possible post-surgery infection, that kind of sepsis in those kind of stuff. But they say that long haul, no, the doctor will have to do a lot of explanation and justification as to why you need. There are surgeries you'll be that 6 months. It's true, it's possible.
Okay.
But the thing is, in this particular case, let the doctor write and send it to the special prosecutor. I don't know, a carry weight, a hold away, but I'm said dealings, more either it is true or not, or more no munim the more yentino. There is no official communication between the hospital
and themselves
and the special prosecutor and acquire family affair. And then I'm a troll letter, or channel papa troll letter, or channel and a yera troll letter. And that tells you, say, these people have no respect for the people of this country. And that is what I'm trying to tell you. Because if Kenoforata ever respect for the people of this country, Alaska, trust me, and and he has demonstrated clearly, say, he's unwilling to come to this country to face persecution and not say face anything. And that tells you the caliber of people they are. When they were out there dissipating the resources of the country, foolishly borrowing out there, breaking businesses, taking people off, breaking banks, making rich men poor in the name of vindictive politics. They never thought to say a time will come, their power will elapse, and they will be held accountable. And that is why I keep telling people, say, if you are in power today, be smart and be intelligent. No, who say, you're special person to the appointment. A privilege to be a way now. What's it? An office now work out now. Obi atena hoping and now about to them. Last minute, the chairman echo Papa Bifie. He was one of the most powerful people
in Ghana.
Oh, who are kasa grown to me kasa. Or said them I was not just a kusuru number form.
Oh,
and do me who's all being to me no arrogant. I mean say you guys are very stupid. Because as a sensible person, when you're to me, the first thing you do, how can I positively make impact on Obi?
Good people.
Alaska, I'm telling you, sir, there are people we are very powerful in Ghana. They are lonely. No security in quantity. Even family members cry desert or more.
Sir, building people.
Yes. Now one building will be an assembly when they be doing what assembly maker. There are prominent Ghanaians. Omoji di ye na omnkwa na hihye omodem abrosan so na omotetete na ye koso mu na na si form ene e betia was 3 days no see form. Alaska to me no wunya make positive impact. That is all power is supposed to be. Something a black African is struggling to understand. To me it's not an avenue to be arrogant, to inflate your relevance, make people think say me ana mahu obi sifri kam na the camera di na chiri wa huru no cause you guys are jokers. You don't even understand what power is. Very tricky. The dynamics in there very complex. One we na wura tima obedu we ba dwene kwasa wo nya nipa chesa wo ye super human being ekaka ye jawa obetimi etu afa wiem
I have one po
oh sa power wura bu na didu mu kwa akira you feel so superior to the sense that eto de adian obetimi etu na everyone say one kind of oriata na nam ha okoba all powerful soldier for na kura na bag na okono Alaska he never thought that time will come we never to know Ghana ya wankasa wo man bon ya give you birth for her ya brede wo ha sei ha na wo yire no magu ene oman a wo firim obama ya asem untumi ma adentia
mesi anra Bosman Nasare wadanfu kopie mu e wo parliament o se nipa ye mobo Bosman Nasare pa otumi ka je say NDC aye threat to them your democracy
macho man
mesi anra Bosman Nasare ko appear before parliament mesi anra just quite asem na oka no kra no obi send message enti enye we na ye Bosman Nasare nana just minia just esemo mo bisa no gonna the days anka masa o the old mo ye just why ye mobo na nsemo oka no kra nsisi so hari na drusu bisa na say wo mo si ai na wo mo de ebo awe no ho bra no say akire ba bia wo say ye to aba ye bobo no akire say e bia ye to aba ye bobo na hifa ne state wo say ye to aba ye nko bobo police station unia o baba na to we you just so funny say no funny say now if you look at the comments neighbor now Bosman Nasare pa
Alaska these are jokers and an incompetent club of individuals you don't even know where we pluck them from and for me going forward no I think we need to do a lot of structural adjustments in the way and manner you put people at leadership. The last time I catch it was Ghana see I yet nipa na and I'm a kwa Jimmy degree free, me kwa Jimmy degree free, I'm family. I antia na taxi drivers be go kroma bebre say omo your professor say US. For time. Oh, they were driving cabs in the US.
So I taxi I driving mu professor so.
Alaska, I be je position akese till date some couldn't even produce a single certificate. And that particular trend is still running. Me say opai ne. My chance and confiscated certificate nyina na yem putu no under scrutiny. Me say about 50% of people holding certificate running around are fake. Because the system is so weak.
But on the ababa be serve o man Ghana mu agigi hu sika. Say why hu GTech? Why hu the aircourse?
Yes. Na ene crowd say agroman ka so mu nye serious. Because we a serious institution and no be na kwakofa issue a raising and sana why we adwuma. What has happened America? As a serious institution, you don't wait for issue to pop up and say what start to say and do to know some person on the side. I mean, my principle has always been that you don't sit till things will come up now. Senya we never and can we say for the BG tech. We see these are me say and we need to get serious and move beyond some of these theatrical dramatic politics. The kind of way people rush to the fray when something has happened. All of a sudden, we assume say Juma. People have been abusing these things over the years. Where have they been? You understand? So for me, I think that you see the whole essence of power. No? Black African must understand it. It is an avenue to make positive impact. It is an avenue to make sure that we build the next generation. We build others. Say, you can fold your arms and comfortably say, these people now, this is what you have done. And no, and a leadership, the kind of positive impact I've been making on society, among society. It is not about how many properties you who cares? I have told you, if you think I will respect you because you are richer, oh but damn, because I don't even care about what you have. It is about the impact you make on others. You understand? Because I've seen a lot of rich men in that who think this is we are rich and will be richer than you. What I say, at the end of the day, it is about the impact you make. That is the most significant thing, you understand? And people will respect you for that. There are those who will celebrate you, Chama and our boss, Ghana, the Winnie Sika, and crank to your monam social media and say, Muno Mudia, what's the Mombachi? And maybe we will have it, but I have some time ago.
Oh, that's also I say me, Marco defraud you.
Marco defraud America, anyway, yeah. Omunian Chewa, men, never been so one with defraud. Because the system and the network is such that they will not follow just Alaska.
Exactly.
Where we are $20,000. No. Or they have time, they can give you 10 years. And now they confirm that they've been following them for 10 good years.
That's right.
because you see they have time to understand say nipa no mo yes adwuma is it a syndicate is it an individual how we neko and always be they have that financing terrorism agenda at the back of their mind, so they want to understand the extent of operation air corner the only no, so they can allow this thing to slide for almost 10 good years. Now sikana wajina in the first place efa bank, in the second place unya alert, and then sikana 2 free so na about and then financial system na there is no single money that comes into a Ghana that is not accounted for, and you think that may have fraud, may have smart. You guys are jokers, and I make us sometimes, you know. Now, if you understand certain things and how some of these things work here, you will not be advertising such things.
Ivan, Obi is sending message. And I say in USA and elsewhere, PhD means Professor of Highway Driving.
and then now Kufuor time now whatever about crew my baby no.
But I say my main giga messages way na and befa course kakra. When should you about Kwame Dos Benjamin Kwame Dosu Edwin Fiadenta. Or say Alaska that's in Ejuma way. Or say NPP and Dan Junior who say on be lose election any many ya. And the Oma Mwa Muhu. Now by the time I John Dramani Mahama and one baby no. What we know beer and contest on the ticket of the MPP. Because one, as it stands now, Balugu Dam way Dr. Baumia, PDS ayono, it assumes some ko yin no krana ne dusua. Your fro was away now better than the way you are no honestly dia or their body. AKD Daniel Edwin Katamanso, or Salaska da say, na Eduma Power Yama my gonna say, I'll catch Ivan Che, Onja can fulata in the family idea so. See, because all man nice and laudable ideas and a bush for atunifu papa a bushana nimni omudin babaye and I'm going to say koso kowanim and the onda busiano because can overata bueno a japadia way in nano why ever busiani dimo or no sunidia or the abba I don't know. What is the Alaska chair also way too much or ever give you a me word with his home. Okay. But I say also the analogy bini we be na atu about MPP for we na kum na yembre be ma memfa course kakra na yemfa yen wrap up on that, but also ba just stick to issues and yabobo sembe ya so ewa ha na general mosquito can say me one MPP 92 MPP boycott to a parliament. Simply because you see almost two about Rollins can say to the presidential answer the about two parliamentary. MPP just say two presidential now one was a win definitely about parliamentary now. One side. But this time the Omuya na Mubogu and Namawa implement it. Yenji Dr. Baumi and Sana ye leaders.
They are very. Their houses were even playing as a forum, so I think that is good. That is what we do. Always, just try to explain these key things. I'm for better, I say, because politics and very often, among for who is a uncrophobia, but yes, and it's can be, but as simple as for us. So I think that is what we try to do. Sabaya will be a bit to me and access to information. Sabaya will make key choices and political decisions. Be informal. Going to mean convince will be as a political party and I say, but we need proper information. Now, one as a reasonable human being who analyze it. I think they bet me to most of the emotions in a way. So I think they're so far so good. They're at that table, so this kind of rata back and forth and unless a strike as a forum, but we are still on it.
All right, the first 5 minutes we me person can send me me and sabi boom and mammy. Number one, I be a back and for rata the so property me ye and film. But honorable Kojo upon Chroma say NPP are you ready say Womobema NDC are buying a footwo chess or match on quine send ye boom mine and more mine a successful quaduamu ye dear and shadanya de bebo mine Ghana and see they should make themselves available said a NPP a bachelor or more quiet fast why you boom mine they are ready and they are available to teach them how to govern and be successful it's no ye honorable kwajo upon chroma deja or they abeshim no yera kwame pianim e kan asem bi e wo Jubilee House and I think say very important now or ka say a teacher for Akufo-Addo promise wo 10,000 housing units was a blog kura wanto to obesere president Mahama says so say wo ye resetting there and ye on kai sa asem no so betimi aye bibia fa ho a na I think say no there was a program e wo Jubilee House akwame pianim wo ye obi a wanyi a NPP modi mu akotene corruption ne de keka ho de wo kasetia wono so kwakire na adwen se ne corruption ekoso wo Ghana ne se de ya hwe yi a ebetimi amakuru ya bo o kire na adwen e wo kwan ya obetu president Mahama for say obetimi tu ho anamo see the first 5 minutes no ebi ansem ni bi wo kra ekoso wo krom and social media ya fa analyze ye wi na afa yakọ next strike no eso
okay yeah I think that we catch say leadership and the governance in this animal get cheaper and cheaper on daily basis, and we've gotten to a point there are some people or more behavior on the political stage, and until people don't take politics leadership serious anymore. Because very often the very people you expect much from them, no one omokasa what to one Obamabu. And this gentleman, over his life has been on radio, on TV, Kasa, as we are seeing and as a phone now on the team, but Onya Kenya and Akufo-Addo, that privilege was handed over to him. This is a gentleman who could not even manage government information, basic thing information. He could not even manage it because within the media or get it so dirty and milkier in the history of this country. The Akufo-Addo government, and this guy was in charge of managing government information. So Onua Nkasa portfolio na he was a failure. You know, he was a change being as a foreign buyer. So clearly give you the signals of what the kind of person he is. At some point in time, who now was a YouTube channel now or a podcast as a minister of state in the dying days of the year going into the election. That was what he was doing. So, and I walk sometimes it's very easy, very cheap, just to make those sweeping comments in a statement. But the reality, dawn on you. And he had that opportunity. Yes, Oyagana knew to teach Mahama and NDC how to govern and so forth. The question is, before you set yourself to teach somebody, the question is, when you had, it's not as if you've not had opportunity to be in power. What I say, if Odikeka say, and I say any of the opposition parties now winning an opportunity to taste power before I say, or Mahama how to govern, I'll pay attention and listen to what they have. But these are guys, these jokers recently were booted out of power because of historic incompetence and recklessness when it comes to governance, leadership. And the Akufo-Addo regime, we all saw what happened in this country. And the era no abaye a tainted way. I leave an indelible ink on the conscience of Ghanaians. Abaye a nightmare. Ghana don't even want to remember what happened in the last 8 years. And your friends saying within the information space, journalists in this country, how many were hounded? How many were attacked? Journalists were chased out of this country. At the time. Journalists were assaulted. Some were kept in prison in as a form back and forth because they were doing their job, criticizing government and bringing the critical issues to bear. This guy was a minister of state. What's in the voice?
Yeah, baby.
So, Anna Makacho said, answer now you set out to speak, you know, you need to make sure that you have credibility. Maybe you are somebody people will take serious. You matana on my way, so, and in the last 80 years, you know, if there is any government I deem useless in this country, in the history of this country, it's the Akufo-Addo government, and he was part of it. The blueprint is there, and we can just go through, if nothing at all, look at the economy of this country, the way and manner. Even the city, they could not manage it. City, we got to a point where prices of everything was over the bar, and I don't can be a Ghana for dear before now. The history of this country, a billion see that. And that government wasn't just about mismanaging competence and as for Krono and Kasa. Family and friends, state capture, and as a forum, Kwanyana use state entities, yes, some special purpose vehicle just to ensure that money will go into the pockets of the cronies and friends of government. Kwajo upon Kroma at the time, where was he? You understand? These are shameless bunch of individuals who always take the stage because politics has become cheap because credibility doesn't matter in our politics anymore. Yeah. You can just say anything and get away because these are guys and can almost said them because of what they have done to the people of this country. Because Ghanaians had hope, high confidence in the Akufo-Addo government bringing all these people on board and as a forum because it was somebody, several other people who have been within the space. Coming on board, people felt so, Akufo-Addo air plug from intellectual kind of way, or more just to bring some intellectualism to bear. Yeah. But not the day, it turned out to be a dear young who be there in the history of this country. Recklessness upon recklessness, incompetence upon incompetence, mismanagement, your friends are corruption. Just and out of that, they are two about just to your friends play your cards well, just to win the goodwill on the side of the people. Now, I'm for take you serious. You are out there talking nonsense because if there is anybody to be taught how to govern, I think that they should sit back and learn what is going on because John Mahama Baye, yes, a very young koye, but clearly you could see few signs here. The dollar is stable. Petrol now for the 17 city despite taxes and as a for about muye de and Rameko. Your first filling station we check away 11.59 something.
Maybe I'm at 10.99.
Exactly. So
10.99.
People were buying your first petrol at 17 and as for I'm told that cement price about for my from 140 and then minimum ton say 92 say 82 thereabout. These are the kind of relief a Ghana for and this is governance. I am not saying say it's the best, but for where we are. And if we do any comparative analysis, there is no way with the last 6 months way what has transpired, or be compared to what happened in the last 8 years. Yeah. So I think that these guys should just shut up. Usually they don't know how to keep quiet. You understand? And I think that most of them are turning out to be attention-seeking freak. When they lose power, now quite a China. I'm for so very often, as all about can be been among phones so. But when they were in power, they were all quiet. You understand? Sure. Because there was a time when people needed Kojo Ponkroma with his media joy, whatever experience, just to rise against the tide and their course within the space. Government information bars was sinking, and this is a journalist. At the end of the day, they couldn't save it. You couldn't even save your outfit to the sense that Akufo-Addo government got drowned in the kind of way and someone lost the information war because it got to a point that people were not even ready to go on TV and go on radio to defend the party because there was absolutely nothing to defend. It was utter nonsense that was being bandied around all over. So I think that these guys should just shut up. Watch what is happening. They are Ghanaians. It's democracy. Mahama Mamone and yeah, DBR right. So as a citizen, you can bring the government attention. That is what you can do. But to say the Ghana for Monsieur MPP, if MPP as a political party in the last 8 years had anything to offer to the people of this country, a chrono, recklessness, incompetence, and the economy, and unfortunately enough, look at where the dollar is getting a bit stable. Petrol prices in as a forum and ya to anywhere chrono a course who chroma and yard because I'm catcher say wound to me as a person sika that was invested in him as an individual as to change sika called Ashanti region. Because I'm still searching that there is no single project in Ashanti region that was started and Akufo-Addo was completed. The cost, anywhere close to about 55 or 60 million dollars. But this guy, 8 million, 45 million plus extra 10 million. Yeah, the forest man, sika onya over quantifier over millions of dollars. But there is no single project in the Florida of the NPP at the Ashanti region where they get their vote. I won't say project way say that other people are benefiting. There is none. It tells you the kind of government or mobile. You understand? Yeah. It was an avenue they created to satisfy their insatiable greed. just to extend good wishes to their cronies, allies. Akufo-Addo by Nabusia for and Ntim Fordjour. You see the way they enjoyed. You know, when that thing was going on, nobody spoke. And then Matisse said, second for Busia for bold enough to issue when the nonsense was going around, when the guy was foolishly borrowing, when the guy was using his personal way just to offer advice to finance ministry borrowing and na family no the nonsense that was being thrown around, the family didn't see the need to intervene. Say, Ghana for even MPP ministers and partner MP sorry say no. Yankasa ne party ni afono yen ade a kanoforata ye no the family people na wanya kokoduro you see and America no there is no shame in the society where we live. When the gentleman was foolishly out there dissipating the resources of this country, the family member because they were enjoying traveling first class and as for Kocaine and as for them. When these people were foolishly using our money to go and dig a hole in the name of cathedral, where were they? You understand? Is that the kind of good governance Kojo Ponkroma is talking about? I think that these guys are a bunch of shameless people. Nobody on his right senses will take them serious. They should just shut up and watch what is happening. And Americano, they can either transform themselves into a competent opposition party, or they can be what they are today, a very useless one, very incompetent even in opposition. And we've gotten to a point, I think that Ghana for come to understand politics to a extent. So you see, some of these cheap politics and this kind of street propaganda don't win any value. They don't have any currency. If you want to convince the average young person out there, say, dwell on the issues, the critical issues, because politics and what then the comparative analysis will come. I just said the last 8 years of Akufo-Addo, the indelible scar I leave on the conscience of our democracy. Ghana for freedom, free that. So an agent of that particular government, any right to come and educate anybody on governance. When Ukraine dollar and as for now, they were telling us nonsense. Say Ukraine-Russia war, now Ukraine-Russia war, you see, these are a bunch of shameless guys, and America say you're cheap in politics, and it's the reason why people don't take politicians serious anymore. And Ghana Nibia who politician not going to be a con man because that is how we've created. We've made it in such a way, say, we have power now. Whoever you want to satisfy, whether I agree with the party team and I agree in the team, we draw all of them because I know the day there is no bit of intellectualism, idiocy taking over the political space, even at the hub of governance and leadership and so forth. So it liberates some of these fools to come into the political space. They do the worst that they can. Just imagine a fool who has been given a free ride in power. Because our power will be a bit. So I think that Ghanaians are really getting serious. You see, let us do intellectual discourse. Now you follow the issue and you know what to talk about and criticize government because these are some of the things I just to shaping the whole political landscape, for the benefit of not even those in power, but for the average and the ordinary Ghanaian. It is not about my better opposition. There can be a negative. Nanka Petro both me teba from Nakwabrande say me demonstration. Now more dama. When it was 17, yes, demonstration because there will be goodwill. Abraham 17. Why didn't you tell people to demonstrate? You understand? So, and America said these people are really advertising who they really are. And your friends are pretending to be intellectuals, but in reality, they are not. That was why the last time I told you, we prioritize certificate. When I'm a certificate, say, what did you agree in the party? Because you can't be an intellectual. Very often, you don't need to go to your house. Work of our certificate about what the hell be you and all people should know. This guy. You understand? But this all questions I would certificate that's what we do. That means what I said. Empty. We must begin to demonstrate to people say we are really intellectuals and but empty that can be assessed in the way and manner we think, we speak. Say man for confidence, inspire man for no because in the last 6 years I am very fresh on the minds of Ghanaians. Why will any person in the Akufo-Addo government and the near Ghana for corruption? I will be now. Kwabranye Timmy Benya Kukudu no better radio say they should come on school. Now I'm a journalist and sometimes they create a free room for some of this nonsense to thrive. Now besides say in the last 8 years, information ministry no were you able to manage it? You understand?
the warfare, the information warfare under Akufo-Addo government, and the government got drawn because you could not defend the kind of Nyeman Amanfo account of social media. Yeah. It got to a point that the Akufo-Addo government was out. People were not even out there defending the government, but he was the information minister. So for him, he's an article of incompetent, but because fortunately they had media platform, then as a phone, they were able to convince people, say, more credibility. But they came to government and exposed themselves. So for me, these guys should be disregarded. They are all attention-seeking freak. They are fading into obscurity. They are fading into irrelevance. And sometimes, in order just to keep kicking people to know that is when they begin to make some of these foolish statements. Because in some now cannot bear any reasonable way when the track record of the party, even your own people admit it, is the worst version of the MPP that we've ever had in this country. I told you, sir, when you sit down and do the NDC MPP comparison, I don't even fall for them because the Kufuor version of the MPP isn't what Akufo-Addo brought. Akwasa, me last time I catch us, Akwasa war Benz. Now what the war your fences Akana or more the funny pan Cassiano 207.
Yeah.
No, be behind so the coffee sort of war. Whenever I was not the Korean punching in them, baby. The MPP as a political party was hijacked by these criminals. So the actual Kufuor MPP wasn't the MPP. You understand? These are a bunch of criminals who hijack the political entity called the MPP and use it for their criminal activities. And all of them are part of it. You understand? Because they were benefiting. Because if not, why will anybody on his right senses, after seeing all that has happened in this country, will be able to be bold enough and come to the media space and say, oh, Momra, you better know how to govern. I think, you see, they do this because they don't respect the people of this country. And maybe they are still living in the past. Maybe some of the guys in the MPP they don't realize where Ghana is at the moment. Now. You see, they still think, say, we are in the 2000s where those cheap propaganda don't fly. But then I'm telling you, say, Obi Asebi owns school demu dakrano. What a chona or a lecture on politics are we show. Sure. Do you know why? Because there is a free flow of information within the space. Now, so for whatever you believe it or not, there are a lot of tons of information going out there. People are reading, people are getting a bit enlightened. You understand? First, and yes, our emotions, me as antinomy, I want to name me a way kind of politics, and that's how go off. People are beginning to follow issues based on the cons and the pros in it. How I stand to benefit as a Ghanaian, and the larger governance sequence, how is it going to impact on the future? Me as a young person, look at the level of desperation that Ghanaians went through in this country. And then I hear documentary where Ghana for young people call Russia say omo kwa kontokwa ebinuma ba omo nan ba ko obi sin nyina she na nyina artificial and as for course okotia bomb so just say it's so messy. Because of the desperation that was chasing people out of this country. And people were making millions. People were pocketing millions. This gentleman knew Chrono Akoso under the MPP. And today, suddenly, saying, yes, sir, these guys are shameless. And within 6 months, will you be bold enough to be doing some of these things? So I think that you see, politics is not cheap, Because in any serious country, you will not have some of these characters running around the media space trying to criticize Obi because the moral conviction and the moral justification for those things are not there. When you have messed up, mess in our creating, we are not even junk. Your friends saying clean it up. Yes, can't want some kind and then you are out there talking nonsense. But in your politics, they're cheaper. Why would people even give ears to some of these things?
All right, and who do I say for the whole week, and as I say, you'll be any abra ye necessary one more aqua strike. And nipa a wunyasem ketua. And I know na make a madam for Bissima come and yemashe and say, maybe Madam Phobia ye juma ewa mochre. Na make us say, no be ye juma much and for them say, now the ye juma. Now information I know de mammy and na ahomete. Say a nipa e wuno. Just say, one more general montiasia, them dear ya womu cry. Obi wo hono ma ne de no nka hyeda nye ade bia ye serious bia sa na so ye de be ko na sanse nurses no striker even first aid kura be ye de no nipa ne prea no wa famawu there was a video anope na me kan wase ma me hu wo Facebook na lady no asumwa se ne ofa yare ye de ne ko hospital nurse ni no ehwe ne ofa na yire nanim ka che ne se omo was strike no wo ho em say that time no no omo fa krado nkotu mu but o ka che ne se omo was strike em omo san ye se omo tam papa na ko private hospital omo andru na owuye na lady ni ye video wo Facebook and wo ka se nurse ni no wada na se say koye ejuma enti group disability guard omo say say furna grant to be gibio.
So that's and the money your friend is about the working condition. As a near mana a metro for no more no there are a whole lot because in sense it doesn't make sense. And me, I don't blame nurses, I blame the leadership. Because you see, nursing leadership over the years has been very, very, very pathetic. It's the reason why most of the young guys and girls coming in, will be a film. So nursing your now are diverted, now call a anesthetic, or be caught no acquire way. Everybody's moving away from the space because leadership over the years, I'm for now, I'm more betting or more. They don't even think about the welfare. I remember there was a time they were paying nurses student allowance. Yes, my for nurses nurses for near. So this is the leadership. They don't fight for their own. So over the years, nursing leadership has been very pathetic. Very, very, very. And nurses know. Even go to the various ward that your friend is a metro for no more no. They don't even care about their own nurses. They always advocating for Nema. You can go to a hospital and say, okay, what is now more no? Yeah. You have more allowance. You bet me my nurse need 100 Ghana cedis. Me a doctor need maybe 2,000 Ghana cedis. Look at the gap. But metro no will not see anything
wrong with it.
Yes. But nurse will be spending much time at the bedside, do all the dirty jobs. It's the nurse. And there are facilities you go, there is no nurse. But the same facility, no, I'm not a child, doctor, nurse is not money.
Yeah, money be need.
I will not blame them. It's the leadership that is there because they don't know all that they are interested in. I bet you're born.
Yeah.
They don't care about the work. So over the years, I never way you know now burogusua do now film. Do now because you see that there is no future because of bad leadership. And there are things that it's not even right to say, but I think that's very, very terrible. But yeah, with him. Said yes, no. I'm worried about the kind of politics in this country because so what is happening within the space now. We cannot be sitting with GMA today. Doctors now more the aba now ya demonstration we are near co-teachers now ya we are near co-nurses now ya near co-way. There is no country that will survive doing that. So for me, I think that we need to look at our emolument structure aggressively. Now you say why they take a risk at the hospital? We say make a candidacy for the marshal. But don't forget that police in here are deployed so on bank and so it's the same. It's at the same risk. Because at bank and I'm Robert Bar. He's the first person.
I'm a target.
So you wait me now young guys bullion vine and for a quiet so you come what I say. So everybody is at risk. So as government, I think that what we need to do and they say Yabaka Sanya money boom. Now you assess the risk level of all these individuals. Now you draw a comprehensive package. I cover some of these. In the absence of this, then some of these things are likely. Or we are marked somewhere. Doctors will come. The teacher for will come. And with the government, it a trade of nonsense. Always you are in banter. And Nippon say and I'm saying there are more bargaining advantage because our draw services are you be in hot waters. Until they will continue to do some of these things to you. So I think that one of the things that I'm and their emolument structure because there are nurses who have a degree. As for them, salary bring take 3,500, 4,500. As for them, what I say, and very pathetic. So for me, I think that we need to look at the basic salary structure. Now you making sure say you improve on. Then as for them, about demonstration strike and also. Now you improve on. Now you must say. Baby and the panel here, Jumabia, Obia is okay with your own yan and as a form. And I think that say to me, yes, I mana. A better key away this bargaining chipper. Very often, some of these entities and hold government to ransom. Or my Juma, oh my essay, my old drama services, and as a form. Conditions of service, it will be here. Now I will tell you your conditions of service. Here, but you see, sometimes the way you go about it. And there are roadmap. And this particular strike, and I think say to be very honest with you, because you see, This and is a
I was striking be now kwejuma.
Oh, me can't striking. Yeah, because of the same nursing leadership.
Okay.
Issue is very confusing. People don't understand. Obia free baby. Okay. Emotions.
Okay.
Sa package na ye can sa your friends package na ye can was a collective way na agreement na omo make you know. It's a paper under Akufo-Addo government, you know. Omo ti ase na ye fe omo agree but components na wom no. People did not pay attention to Niema and Ewom because at the time, now we were going into elections. Akufo-Addo government at the time could not afford to be engaging nurses back and forth because once it was going to affect the government at the time. Okay. So on the package in the bar say package in the they agree on virtually everything. They agreed on everything.
Okay.
And now, the government then you cannot blame Akufo-Addo government in this because they were going to implement it. Then the nurses, psychiatry nurses took the issue to court through a nurse party. Said no. Agreement no more agree and ya dear say GRA no our mother body no because then the bodies be braba and no one transit and no one can. And the agreement on my be almost the issue no court. Issue no court, and then the psychiatric nurses won. So back and forth, issue no court to send no pulley out to be area no. Now you January. Now you January where you Akufo-Addo took off ye ama mahama aba ama yaba January. Budgets no at the time no already had been prepared. Government didn't just sika de baby akwata me na wo de ya de. So the reason why I'm blaming nursing leadership say omo ye involved enti na de we Akufo-Addo implement am omo komo de court no ne back and forth ni nyina wie no na election is over. Enti me na me Akufo-Addo I'll be happy because the burden has been what I say
burden na free so
good, but you see let's say governance is continuum. The mere fact that Akufo-Addo ensign doesn't mean that John Mahama ensign. Fine. This is a government that is barely 6 months old. Yeah. There are structural former or a cost of baby government require for
and certain way you and for me
you can still press and engage the government with your concern, but to threaten and say that may cause strike when the procedure and the processes that are outlined won't follow. People have taken a very belligerent position. They say we are done and say back. And I've listened to a couple of interviews or granted, which you could see clearly intellectually she's very, very febrile. In some no kind of say, Obi mature mind will not be making such comments, and either she's motivated by politics or whatever. I don't know. Obi or concern what he has a woman but the way she's doing as if that is a government that has been in power for like 3 years and only engaging. This is a government that has been in power for barely 6 months. You cannot declare strike within 6 months when negotiations with the government hasn't gone on. And Sanya Mana Kosunina, Nona, Emma Manfo say, okay, Sanadia, Nemana Mubisano, young corner, young Koshim. You could be a crat and you could shame. Quabrane say me ye adwuma wa abro science so first floor meji 2 CD 50 pesos a day. Say third floor 20 centimeters meji 3 CDs a day. And me ye adwuma fifth floor na that's for no meji 5 CDs a day. Yeah. Who on his right senses as a government will agree to this pack of nonsense? Say see it here. Okay.
First floor.
And what here is meant to be salary at channel because of the floor. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I sympathize with my salary and very bad. So this energy they could have confronted government not in salary. Catch on the basic salary now and we deserve better. Yes, don't put up this nonsense. And yes, say me can't floor back me can't floor me no. People will not even take it serious. But Akufo-Addo government did not pay attention to those things because but and the government now all try to reset through look at now they were saying anymore what be what I say and I was expecting nurses in 24 by catching up by say first now the we had nurse now the car if Rabontin by a free man and that thing has been taken away. I was expecting nursing leadership to be fighting for those things. Dr. Sidia has been put on hold. These are sensible things. Bizarre. Nipa we are serious. What I say and again almost a funeral grant.
Aye, funeral grants.
Does it make sense? And the amount of money involved is over 600 million.
600 million Ghana
Funeral grounds in what sense? Like, funeral we no abanya djuma no obi nye bi nchen obi o and I make say the risk obi ade ho but ya say abanya agree to some of these and I'm telling you so every na teacher ni ya say almost munya risk ugina akasa from anopako say anwumre no so you see a time will come we are going to open the floodgate obi abeba say funeral because what funeral ground am obi you have to
pay for a teacher.
Adia ba kwa yes make sense in the woman the 13th month no you see 13th month no there are companies omutia I was working for a company Christmas they will pay you double they do but you see this a policy you cannot introduce to a section of workers what I say you because 13th month you know say you're widening to policy in here 13th month.
Yeah.
So you cannot exclusively say 13th month. It's going to create agitation. Doctors will come and ask for 13th month. And I make us you see when you have that collective bargaining chip not as an entity now who make it demands be reasonable. Say by some no can. Mami asem okay nyansa because any day. So be a nurse salary nya I'll be the first person to fight yes salary nya let us make sure say we pay nurses well. Because how can a degree nurse be working and be taking 4,000? I cried 4,000 times.
Yeah, for now rent to cry.
Exactly.
Rent to
So as a nursing leadership, you know, these are some of the things you engage government with. Allowances and so forth, they are good, but you see, very often when you are advocating for allowances, people don't take you serious. But when you want salary discussion, and I know there are roadmap and so forth, but you see, when that particular thing is very aggressive, you need government in your engagement because of the work you do. A salary structure to a certain extent can be improved on. Yeah. But some of these demands and you see that the whole thing has become a subject of public ridicule.
Yeah.
For a kind of science so there now so when you do that you bring yourself people will expose you or pick up some of the things and and again one thing people don't understand is GRNA a nurses entity organization a mother body association and then nurses for what people don't know they say your friend is a health sector now so person will engage abanya the bargaining chip now yama entities no health sector na omo time omo de ama GRNA the mother body so on na legitimately no otimi kwa aban ho and bargaining certificate no na aban bargaining but yeah very adeba kwa people don't know ni say sa entity we entity made up of those who work in the private sector every single nurse whether you work for government or not you are part of this organization. Okay. So we are nurse yo ma banyo we nurse ma banyo so there is a possibility say obi betimi aba be GRNA president abra onye aban adwuma ma aban e no trust hospital
okay onya aban
adwuma oya private hospital but on the GRA way so sa nipa na di aban akwa negotiate on workers we dealing with government so aya aban workers it's not about private so nipa na odi animu akwa obokom kra na onya adwuma ma aban I don't know whether you get the picture. Because I didn't remember young Klana at here for yes. I'm innocent here, nurse. It's in my man time to explain it better. It's the innocent. I'm here says see and say Ghana registered nurses one why body no are perpetual no and the dear anymore as the president, you know. We are nurse or Ghana and Kwadia, you are part of this association, whether private or government. We are under this mother body. And no money am bargaining power. It's here be crying out make us perpetual nyejuma ma by me baby or yejuma I'm not interested be not perpetual cry no or yejuma ma me private hospital be cry me call yes
me call private hospital every cry na ho no yejuma but because so aye nurse we under this body nti no wa rise ya benya position so akwaya bagania private hospital no omo nko strike. It is a by the aqua striker and yenasem.
Yes.
Because
I think exactly. I think that okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And say nipa na private nurse and some na omo fight for hono kra na e bin kano.
So
they can do whatever that they want. that is the
benefit
that is the bad aspect of it. So at the end of the day, people will not take. So for instance, I'm not saying that it could be possible. Say, all the head nurses, leaders from private hospitals, and these private hospital workers, and the people who are going to lead charge with government, engage government for those working in government sector. Does it make sense?
No.
You understand?
No,
and people will not even take it serious. You understand?
By expansion. Strike no private hospitals.
Yes.
Exactly the point. I know my baby can. Not private. So because you see our capacity be able private hospital.
Yes. So you see how a but as who can be
yeah.
Oh, what I say.
Exactly.
So for me, I think the roadmap na down and then labor commission the assembly court.
Yeah.
They are calling nurses to come back, but still, the woman they are sort of baby a Zoom call and so I think that the political undertones was our name and the money are very pathetic. For one eco hospital now, one they would I don't even want to go there because some of these things are very way. But the thing is that we are building a country. Every strike action be an premise on established rules of engagement. That is okay. And you see, Senka John Mahama Byway and last year our and now what banner say only implement here, then you have a case. But we are talking about a government that is 6 months older. Yet here your deputy minister of health.
I can't don't 1 man.
What I say? So give you say even government nucleus now here forming a crowd. Yeah. So you give the government time to settle. And what settle we know? Opa kofa we are saying kwasa asem nyina gu paper so bra. Was settle we now wouldn't say the bargaining there, your bargaining power and a bachelor, or so per food now per whatever I say, to me a bargaining or when that one there. And let the government settle or settle down. I wouldn't have that back and front. Now that is okay. But budget has already been written. The amount of money involved with is over 2 billion. I have the document.
Yeah, I say 4 billion.
Yes, I have
4 billion every month.
I have the document with me. And you governance in yes, to acquire what I said. You need to go through. So for me, in as much as I sympathize with nurses, the challenges in as a form go through in as a form no. Quina leadership now for so no in this particular regard no. It's in bad faith. It's an ambush. And ya wouldn't say your friend is saying I didn't know psychiatry nurses and as for said they are not part of this strike because the things there and midwives as I say at you they have an association or most I listen to the president or say they are not in support. They want near man or muhiano namum kwanya or mafaso more no it's not right, you understand. So for me I think that strike they will be our home but a government that is 6 months old, that is my word, 6 months old I will for me our negotiation, was started with a government. Why is it a power? No, the government will need time to study the documents and see how the economic situation and conditions, everything support to those things. But if you don't do these things, now what may cost right because you think that you can force. No, it can't happen that. So that is why I am this whole thing. Exercise in bad faith, and I think that I'm so disappointed in the woman in charge. Maybe we know. I think that we need to pay particular attention to your emolument structure. You see, because of that happen on the political space. Because my classmates, me a doctor, me a surgery, a cashier or hospital, but some 12,000 Ghana cedis. I've seen my classmates be at Ponkosubia or did the party executive or China any CEO. Allowance are urging in a month, no such me as a medical doctor. Yes, those things are there, but you see, Ghana becoming very overbearing. But I had a yabro so, and Ama Obia, Fin, and also Uno Bia Casa, compare allowances are leaders in Ninya, Oko parliamenta. Sika and Nama Mamfon Sasson, the Edugu Bagim, you see, so people know that there is money. So if I'm a nurse and I'm risking my life, I also deserve that pound of flesh. But if we are able to restructure the emolument structure in such a way, say, baby obia no, give you what you want. Oko you can be a nurse here. Nanim mero be a mayor. Oko we no be a doctor. I will US. Nanim mero be a your friend saying senator. Because as a doctor working in a facility in America, the money I get, is almost the same as even far larger. There is this Ghanaian plastic surgeon in our US. The guy is a billionaire. the guy is a billionaire because he's a doctor. You understand? So such a person, oh, you're a senator, or not, oh, yeah. So that is what we need to do, just to ensure that people in this service, you know, young training and liberty, and then also now, poverty now, one worry. We teacher near say what they
teacher need a crowd bobo.
Now police for crowd there
police for the na kwa.
On kwani man a single room na the fridge in the name
prison officer crowd near bobo na fire there.
As a prison officer they am that tell
me can who prison fire.
The difference between prison officer and a prisoner I war they are all living in prison. So yeah, I think we need to look at in as much as the ekosunu nyina no in a broader stakeholder way. Let us look at the bigger picture. Now you however so your salary structure ni yesebe ya obia anibeso de oye. But I think say yes I be but be unnecessary for na there. Some of the demands na we making are absolute rubbish. It's nonsense and no government on his right senses will agree. Obi be catch them say oh na say abandada na jitum because we are going to an election the other we obeja to mama. But in this real sense here, you will say the state of affairs here, petrol and so forth. We can't do that, you understand? But we should try to know who's the car, allowances and so forth, air cost of parliament. Yes, people will be peeved. So we need to do the politics where Sabaya, because Obia who here, Nessie who here, because Nessie knew her. You can't survive. Kakra your more withdrawal service, you see what is happening. And now, Abasia won't feel it. Now we young Kawana Junior Dokwana will be another who say yes. So you see, enti yele na ye make sure say baby obia no ye betua ne kai is me classmate amedo mu really gone about 70% of munya ko UK I didn't know obeko because salary ni nya wa ha okoha anya hwe ne ma beko yama no some are in America nursing training can be classmate about 50% they are all in the UK now. Why? Because the structure system here is very terrible and recognizable and give nothing. No answer when the move flat is ana one way out acquire we now or life or no I don't know. You understand? Government must pay particular attention to workers. Police for more wins because it is bad.
Police need red line. Say red no. Any green no difference about one. Yeah. But I did green can you question that be a red? Now me say Upesika catch say most Ghana where by force to say red abra. Me so many tria where who say green.
Yes,
so you see the frustration out there.
Yes, the frustration. So it's not a take it to poverty. So government must pay particular attention to some of these things, not making sure say you improve salary. Because I say okoye politics all of a sudden now other VAT other way or the classmate who oh you see kind of moody. Ebi akwa na nya ban sika o. So, and I'm because the politics in a comparative way, now people are getting exposed to some of these things. First, you know, who MP no officer a special person, and people have come to know. So, some of the people standing on the political side, some are even a wood and quine. That's
all. Becca said, "We know who's one Gary."
What I say. So that veneration, respect, and that one is gone. So it's about salary. If you are taking this, I should take this. You understand? So I think see a structure, a monument structure, some of these things will not come up, and government should make sure say the risk allowance now for no must be universal across board. Now you fan 20 fan salary no. Now you take away that power from people coming to meet government. We yane we no negotiate we are now we know hey now you be we that by. What I say, and as a nurses and also bisa for BBA, they should ask for something important like this waiver on cars and then as a form. What I say, the near who here and the people say, are they we and several other essentials. Now could be a funeral ground, could be a science allowance. It's absolutely nonsense. Oh,
all right, Rolly so. I some more.
And check for near phone, mention innocent.
And also press conference in me follow ye. Na samia ukusu hwe. Na me ni nyina live on so.
Every Ghanaian
obi ahwe. Ba number so hu so no wo hwe.
Denti a e wo so wo hwe de say na djuma na me bo hu da wo. Ma poni a samia uku gari ni ma ko ne the board of NLA edi ya omodane adwumaku a eye oman dia de ma ankorankore enya hu sika twitwiri die in excess of 3 billion a year in excess. I've been very conservative with the sika na make am myself because 10 million no times 7
days no dey na say
72 weeks in a year is
3,640,000,000 and coins. Is that and can over Kenya de
Yebe one city craco so bedroom so.
Me pese Yame Aduma, media baby, the press conference.
Okay.
Yes, sir, that they are innocent today and Comaneko. I say, on my way, no chronic can but I was here. Now, Assembia, it can be I was say a year, a dear, a bit more minor.
And a business. What in the prosecution?
What finance for?
You know that? Yeah. Say, Abusiafo na say, Mama Seremo a, omo de hye no, ombeba munyini free interpol red list no. Mo yes enye. E na amana na bi kura seke no furi atapa obetimi abaga na oba. Mo so womra. Obeba oba no anka say. O say any right. O say o ye lawyer.
Anka say no see a solution.
Nti wa seke no furi ata na ye pa yenye dede manimra oba kro kasa. And right.
Nana be no cancer say me or you be onim nyansa obehu se ampa kenoforata bana wa mie na no ankasa.
Say abusuafo no say mama serem a omo de hye no ombeba munyini free interpol red list no. Mo yes enye. E na amana na bi kura se kenofori atapa obetimi abaga na oba mo so womra obeba oba no ankasa. O say any right. O say o ye lawyer.
Anka say no see a solution.
Nti wa sika no frata na ye pa yenye dede manimra o bakro kasa. No any right.
Nana be no cancer say me or you be onim nyansa obehu se ampa kenoforata bana wa mie na no ankasa. And right. But silence no even a bigger statement be help in the prosecution. So sometimes you know, and I'm kasa boom 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 boom. Adwene touch na ya na ketewa because oba na omo friend no on kasa. That alone no, louder than even wakasa. What I say na make because we nyamumu. What kasa? Nasa was a one kasa. Then court na be kire. All that they have to do ni say osi on kasa. Na ye the court. Then the court no say was one kasa. One kasa then ya kasa was on kasa nti munya no nko fie. Amo kasa omo nwene ho. Yeah, I think with the politics on the get it and these characters your kasa say no be a nurse doctor not here no who and say we need this can so far ni nyina kan obi na sha manfo abufo no so I think it's serious kind of for tabusia for say yeah, I think that yes, Obia or Hokine as Ghana need to say anything. But you see, and America say, answer I will do a nimbe kwakwaji dear nim no. You should always have your back against the wall. So people will not have questions to ask you. And to yes, I mana. It's good so Obia be fighting for the family member because a dean can for it, and I'm sure say Interpol criminal nipa na no more than less no so no. A drug syndicate where you just a criminal sir. Omo wanted within the international community and omo on your that list so it's on record and they didn't can for that and I link it back to a fear mpanimfo so definitely no you not take it kindly because a good man for any you understand so I think that it's okay so what is idea but you see the question maybe some who say enti sabi eniema hunu nana ken for that yen wo krom ha say no na family no na motiase and now mututu kwan ko China na Vietnam afa no mo aba no mo bete de ekoso when the nonsense was going on in this country you know kenoforata abusian for no mo Ghana na mo ko vacation na China so they didn't know they didn't read the papers they didn't know what was happening when the guy was foolishly borrowing you can't some China ontie when all used companies here to advise transactional advisors paying friends when the gentleman was aggressively no egu papa kwase Indian banks and then as for enti family ni enhu nyansa anka say oya Ghana business wa fa Ghana for enti your family yesrew kane momo kwanya changes kwa na obaye at the supervisory realm na ye na kwase Indian abie banka oye nipa adwuma yese hwan Saidu Agongo abie adwuma our bank na ne problem nyina ne say or some court until he cannot own a bank. You're different in some a good bank. Kanoforiata was the master planner behind some of these things. When the guy was borrowing here and there, corruption, a Japan PDS deal, also recordings and never the womb or more check commission share and as a family no more. So you see, and America said you could to a point and there is no shame in society. I think they should just shut up and allow things to drive. You understand? Because all come back and forth for more family should have been the first person to kick in. Now among special prosecutor no. So definitely no. On the medical condition here complicated and call family na man there. I don't think a family na issue statement say say na custody at some man time. Who's the department? When the thing was back and forth now, special prosecutor wanted answers, you know. The family did not write to the special prosecutor, they did not go there. But now, yet not to Interpol red alert, so you know free, so no, I was saying I messed that opportunity now. Yes, and that is when the family is getting the energy to say, your friend say, na Ghana for movie, you know, you're some winning family members. Sa kwasi head cut na sabi ye okrom ha. Pensioner de nisika Onua save nisika o say or the akoto government share no akenofurata ebubu omusika no kama papa no oni abusuani wawu osefom sa ye fa senche so hwan sa ye fa za hotel kase bia wa papa no so no so wawu omudo mu nebusuanfo ye ka bi mo onye ye. These are shameless cowards. Say sometimes I know because the politics na cheap and media meme hu sa statement na social media no na me free say be enkwasa me do be actual to social. I didn't even know that nonsense will be coming from a family member. Because over the years you know ye nim dia koso okroma ya answer na obetimi aka nsem bi say no the ekoso no esenka waka be pen. Because when Ghanaians were wailing, no, you cannot say that people were complaining that Kufuor, no, they were all NDC people. No. Ghana for Messia Sofubi or bank, or say or Kotor government bond, and I just said Nisika Yinan on the Kokoya, dear, or Bobo Sians and all the Didi. And the Ohana, sir, I let be Mutia some time ago, be a Sanji and Everton account no free. I want for do can say, oh, where the Yamiadum, Abatom account. And yet, Tiana Poku do Bango Kwakuya, or Massa would do a scan by mistake. Enti obi a oye healthy Onua didn't seek a go no by force why for
pressure
and the family ebimu wu sa Gold Coast we na kind of way papa kwasi ndo ma de na by do you know the number of people musika wom a obo wu omo wu ebimu da na yare for family no na mo wo hefa I think say sometimes you know there is no shame in obi aye niam hunu bia na ofa ne ho adi. I am expecting saying come back advises the special prosecutor say making sure say you don't witch hunt. Namum emrane nhyehyeye wo ho no ye ba na ye tunufo obedi so na ye ne na kasa say obeba eda sei na oba ye be make sure say the esamo ye bia no mo be ye say am no ka
we are okay na just say wo oni anyasafo na ke kasa wo
exactly. That is what every normal human being will do. Yes. And these are people as en kaye turu for money yes anema no. What I say. Say abrante ya kan say or na ye the masterpiece one puzzle. Puzzle now ye tutu an ya no. Kenoforata is the masterpiece in the larger corruption puzzle now ye try to ye first say unravel in this country. Gozia menoka say NIB. Any Yoko for I open a separate investigation about the criminal dealings in this country. So for him, no first a special prosecutor and one channel. But say no, I double obviously a double salansa. Yoko way. So I know the day no, the gentleman is going to have a ride. So the early he comes and face whatever he's supposed to face and stop playing this I am sick card. I am sick, there be a country or you're ready. Obi yare won't win Kasasi and I say. But the reality is when you be away bedridden, when you be away immobilized, I would have bed so. Aka say ontumi ntukwan according to sources ko ebinim kwa so mu hunu land not ye fence ba bi didi and the pictures were circulating on social media so wunyo obi a we yare da house wuntumi nante wuntumi nya we yes we are finance minister so wo bo bra papa I will be more than happy enough to avail myself and answer you understand and that kind of art so yare abra no your finance minister me say who ni tie siso atimi say akwa na yare no na mo we ask me kotena TV because he should resign for the health sake. Okay.
If you them.
Yes, because who know team so oyare at that time you know I was worried say even decisions no making were not out of reasoning because the guy was sick at that time no family no hunyansa who say oh ya bayi oyare so onko tena nche na obi metake over MPP as a political party MPs in parliament no ka said no Ken abraba wo de economy new born enya abraba papa nti yesro hisi nchen ewie ye afri doctor na wo we mkotu no no fa say there is this doctor owo Kumasi
and dia pia kubi
no ba kubi o ye and dia pia kubi ba kubi o Kumasi omkotu no primary solution ye onu so am say o doctor oye otaya interviews oh me nidi na me rafi ye tu no ene ota grant interview ye ko tu no ma ene otifie because okodi animu say ye nyi keno for that floor oya lawyer mom oh okay no and there be akubi dan we Okumasi ankasa
there be Eugene now
yes Eugene
you are your doctor
oh okay Eugene asem na meka
Eugene Boache
ye tu no say otifie na onya MP
so common from
yes because of that we no mu di animu say kind of for that and sin change yes yes only and we no ye to bunyina kwotena fie so this is abrabo akeno for that abebo no okroma say enema branche we ya okroma say no say nya emra na ye adwuma no mu ni kosikejeti ana say makwala nka ema na bebu na kuno because of some decisions will take ya it take a man for life away from them. This is the crimes even you can say it's alleged, but the consequences and the impact of these alleged crimes were visible, were very impactful. And the papa was indium. Obi oye your friends adwuma wura na wadan ya kawura. I'm told say na kra na honya de oyare. This is a businessman or creative business
over 3,000
yes and there is no business was as a challenge or even more challenge but yentimi kasa challenge or hantino what as a company that is how I run it so you as an overseer no you have to re-engineer plan and until we leader nyansa wo team you engineer plan just to ensure somebody me navigate it through sabe nipa benya adwuma ye de timodin gugu sa nwuma we nyina gu ye e majority of people kotena fie and that time so obia enya kisu brana ba yiwa no you are out there talking nonsense witch hunting and or yare no say na bra no yare na owu no na onfa nya finance minister na yemfa ntu amana se cathedral na yensesa yesika na was he not borrowing no as for them so I think the family should give us a break some of this nonsense this emotional crusade no will not fly in the face of reasoning in the face of logic because Ghana for they lived through the Kanaforata era they saw what happened they experienced it some lost their parents some lost their uncle some lost their wife some lost their fortune then I say for no and the doings of this gentleman brother ba you are not come and answer na you over now so nkasa that is have to ask you understand so I think say the special prosecutor must do whatever it takes. I'm happy say the Attorney General has started processes just to ensure say the extradite him then as for it's going to be a bit complicated but family no one nyansa sembia kan any special prosecutor na so much letter command they should write to Kanaforata say any special prosecutor na hwe no Ghana for na hwe no o pass say am yen declare say babia be hu Kanaforata bia no mo fa na man ka be hu Ghana for mo abrocho mo kwa hwe ne the number because do na the sika ba kroma Kanaforata anti sika na kam they are angry and peeved. Man for better than about Kruma say. That is how I'm a number boy, no. I'm a Ghana for you peeved and angry about the way they did their thing. So for me, I think that family needs to just shut up. And Mereness or Mokasano, I came because Abrana near Mahunu Kosono. That was the time I said, Commodium Jim. No mutu more for Siano for Abrana or take those and Quasia decisions in a Ghana Coboy, no. But I know my boy, baby, trying to pick the pieces together. 7 years me coming back. Then bringing your voice to the conversation. I think they should give us a break.
Well, it's so.
Once again, the chronic came. Oh, say, 24 great drama. Say, maybe 2 and 3 fine teacher. Now, Kanaforata share the brass or Ghana, I make kind. I predicted today. Say, the bedroom baby. Mobabe, the reason why I was say, a buying a bebano, a benyesika, a dear to Ghana put home. Now you're the above mine home. So I said, can you be a woman be a toilet? Almost last year, from 2017 January, now no more year. Veteran Minister for Finance. Sabre me talk about Parliament say Kenuforiata does not qualify to be a finance minister. The kind the woman Shiamu sensem no free. And you no credit say Okoye University there and no credit.
I want a fraud there.
Kofo should the movie scam.
Say Kenuforiata or any better qualification as far as finance or whatever is concerned, economics is concerned, we need any better qualification. Yeah. Everything he provided to the panel was false. And Suhini Busa the question. And prior to Suhini the question, you know, now I think was it Suhini now that said Busa they say, does he have accounts in tax havens? Tax haven, yeah, baby. Wo a won pese wo betua to wo man mu no wo di usika kosie se na be ya avoid the taxes mainly. 2 obi wo a owo sika bi a opese wo di dwane ana wo di sie ne manfo ana o man no ho nso utimi di sika ko na oye obi a ono ne the first criminal yenya no man we mu in this Fourth Republic. Obu aban Rollins aban tie Rollins aban obu Rollins aban faso sata no fi Liberia abagana oni Johnson Sirleaf na no ye president
yeah maame bi
ewo Liberia no sa data bank no oni maame no ne bieye eti maame no had I think a higher percentage shares plus some other friends of his omu nyina no more Liberia o call Liberia e dia no mo de freken ye maame deal the friend. Now, odi dream my dream no could do by person say on this net koto kese say opesu osisia dan e mass net workers. Now to say the a free fa IK champion.
Yeah.
AKA Fautogaji Golf. Yeah. Osisi estates be wagana ha ne subi mada. Senya Saglema, the champion is still holding the record. Now, some time now, no, yet, Sadiano, and Peniphobic could be a friend. People's Movement for Freedom and Justice, PMFG. Now, the boy, a champion, yes, I know money now. It is Sadiano, and also a coffre say, template we. Rollins aban mo masnet mami sika na me fancy estates ahodo pi estate na
sika no so e
dan wa asase no okoji asase no o se man so aba asase no nti sika $12 million obi an Google obotan
yeah
obotan
I read through
you're criminal. Look, say I can blame me as a 10 or 10 is 7 way to take off for no yabef. KG and I make a KG and I make a canyon I can offer at an a. And one year Alex Daddy now free a group or a kufa room, we are no and on no ye. Everything they did is criminal. Pot koshe and no pot, tema pot. Nekoshe, adia air koso tema pot. Because omo J pot a human free are buying some GC net now buying what percentage woman not GC net the year juma about 35%. They took all a buy percentage in the juma call baby a friend unicorn and then Busobia what tema pot unicorn and yajuma. Me Bomachi Madame for Bronibi or a Brazilian.
I'll pay up in 2 minutes.
Anna or Dick Eduma Bay say Obia or in the Yoma from an neighbor Biano. I was say a man are buying who in advance. I dear all ship free country, so dear Bagana and afraid be advanced shipment information. Now, embedded in advanced shipment information or the tracking account. Oh, you bet. Tracking cargo, no send a beer, be on your mind or high seas. When your mother do Ghana, Engra, but you had the tracking account, your friend be cargo tracking note. na kenoforiata ne akwa bi a friend Coleman omako sign contract aye company bi a friend CTN Ghana Limited ajeje importer sika di omo wie ya omagu company no we nyina se ne tuo we kwa me fan koy o enka ho afa na mde no
afa na ade no be ko
enti yeka kenoforiata asemo a abusua no omo ho ye me fere se omo de omo anu betum na omo de omo anu tum incapacity as what se abusua ben a omo free he omo ye hwanom a omo ye nipa che Ghana ni ben abusua ben papa ben abusua papa ben because this is abusua mu be ka che ye se ye ya beifo ma
yes
say
yen ya criticize Akufo do kronfo tutubotom ni balawo se wo di e-levy atutu ye botom wo ye fon so ade ye fon adane galamsey site tu galamsey wo ye fon so ya koka enti omo kuro mo hine ne se yen ye ya beifo ma yen na wo hwe beifo ba na ka wo hwe onu na ni na hwe ye animu a wo na se beifo ba wo de hwe na nim na hwe ye nim ekenoforiata nim hwabusua ni nyina hwe omo nim na hwe yen a ye kase hwe ye su nim na hwan na se beifo ba abusua wei ana omo ye den sebi nka mu tu ne fo tete ni ye ma ne bobra pa
all right 30 seconds
na ata ye abusua so sorry say ata yi no so ye nyana ni ajeja no
ni eja
from força
okay
wa be finance minister wia sika kogu abusua no mu di sa na Akufo do papa be ye mampani just for 1 year 5 months hwe kro no obo ye ship kura potimi yira ship 1 year 5 months o bokro no
ba fa mi sa dia farmer so na ere
wia ye san wia ye wia ma and Akufo do atoy Japan nyina including hotel no ohun de Nyankopon eye se oba aban mu nu asa akodi hotel na yeso onu societe general for o ma Charles mi na ye hotel keke o so asema ekoso no abusua ni ntwe mu mfim na munya abusua papa bia nchanga na ni bia abusua ni the best we can describe you is a very 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 intolerable family akwonfo abusua ya ma be wia ma regabi de gabi ayo man he kofi asante be di etu de nankopɔ aye no de na yare aye no bo bibi ka mo kɔsere nyame na bo so tin na maaye
me da
we am boyfo pa nyankopɔ be